On today's episode, we are joined by Crystal and Zenaida Carrasco. Zenaida is a cancer warrior who was diagnosed at the young age of 4 years old, now 12, still going through her cancer journey. And her mom are here to share how they get through it, how they get up every day and choose to live their life and focus on mindset, positivity, faith, family, and fitness is the motto that they live by. So let's just get right into it. How do you get up in the morning when life is just really tough?
I think any mom would do the same that I did. Like when your only option is to be strong for the family, I think anyone would put their hat on as a mom and just give it their all. I'm not gonna lie, there was times where I was like, it was hard, really hard. The fact that kind of putting all the problems in the back of your head and continuing your day. But I realized that, my kids are watching me and they need that strength to get through and persevere through life. And I think from when I lost my brother, that showed me that the world doesn't stop. So we have to keep going, stay positive. It's all mindset. So if I woke up telling myself it was going to be a good day, it was going to be a good day. But if I wake up telling myself, and I guess putting energy to the negative, the negativity, the problems, and then my whole day was just messed up. So
100%.
Try to keep your mindset positive for the sake of your family and for the sake for yourself, because I learned that if I put anything negative out there, it was going to be the outcome of negativity throughout my day.
I love that. And that couldn't be more true. I 100% agree with that. So with that being said, let's kind of go back to the beginning. I want to take it all the way back to, Zenaida's 4 years old and what happened.
So the day that we found out Zenaida wasn't feeling good, we went to the hospital because she was having a long-term illness, and we found out that she had cancer. So when we heard the word cancer, it's just devastating, and just like you look at life totally differently. And so when Zenaida got diagnosed with cancer, our life changed dramatically. I feel like it made us realize how important each and every day was.
Yeah.
And just, it was a lot. I couldn't emotionally process it because it was just so much hearing the word cancer.
Do you remember any of that when you were 4?
I was limping while we were going to the hotel. Where I go into the stairs, and I told my mom that I'm hurting, because I started crying a lot. I didn't feel good at all. So
you're getting sick a lot too.
Yeah, I was getting sick a lot, fevers nonstop. So my mom decided to take me to the ER and tell my doctor that there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Now, how did that go? Because I know in my past, I had different things happen with my kids, and it's difficult sometimes. They want to write everything off as reflux or this or that. Yeah. Did you have a struggle in getting the proper treatment or the proper diagnosis for her?
Yes. And I remember it was I remember the exact day too when I was pleading help from the doctors. My daughter was 8 months, and I remember crying because the doctor was literally telling me, no, it's nothing serious. It's maybe, so it has to do with just having your daughter. Maybe she's just having growing pains, and kind of saying it was allergies, and not, I guess, making an action plan to be hey, okay, let's do all these tests. It was just kind of going on for her opinion on the situation. And I was so mad. And I remember she was like, you need to relax. Because I got very emotional that day. I was just all over the place because I knew she was, that pressure as a mom when your kids are not feeling good. Yeah. It's what can I do to make her feel better? And you feel hopeless. So then finally, I remember the doctor was taking me out of the room, was hey, you need to relax. It's not something serious. And I was just what? That's when I realized she's not the doctor that is definitely not going to be my kid's doctor if she's telling me to relax of the fact that she wasn't feeling, because we were coming into the doctor's office consistently.
Because she was starting to complain and have pain. And
yeah. Okay. So that was our first wake up call. And then that's when we said, F this, we're going to go to the ER and get all the tests done to see what's going on, because this is not normal. And then the limping was getting worse.
So the limping was an indication. She started limping?
Yeah, so she started limping. And then even when the doctor would ask her to, like, what happened? She was scared. So she would say, I just fell off at preschool at one of the playgrounds on the slides. So then I was like, I don't know if this is still lingering. Like the first thing I would expect was maybe to do like an MRI or a scan or something like that. And no, she was too worried about, like, for us at the time, how much it would cost. And I told her, I don't care how much it costs. I want to get these tests done. So we just took it on our action, went to the ER, just told the doctors, hey, we want every exam you guys could do just to find out what's going on with our daughter.
Yeah. Now, was there any history of cancer in your family, like childhood cancer or anything like that?
We have no history.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's a tough situation when it comes to something like that because you want there to be nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's
so
what I was hoping.
You're wrestling like, okay, hopefully I'm overreacting. But, as a mom, sometimes I feel like we have something deep within us that's like, no, something is up.
Yeah.
And so tell us about like the time that she actually did get diagnosed. So when you brought her to the ER.
We took her to the ER. I was nervous. The first thing in my mind was just like, I didn't think of cancer because like, okay, maybe she just fractured her hip or something. But that's the last thing I wanted to think it was because, I was kind of in denial. And so when it came, we did the test and everything. She was kind of wondering what was going on. But I remember that day I was sobbing. Like when they told us that she had cancer, I was sobbing, just crying.
How could they tell she had the cancer? What was the diagnostic test?
It was the MRI.
And they could see
the
spots?
CT scans, yeah.
So what did they see?
Yeah, they saw it spread it all over her body. So they saw these lymph nodes enlarged. They saw her tumor and her adrenal gland, which was pretty big at the time. And then her hip was already fractured. The cancer was deteriorating her hip bone.
Wow.
So it was already getting to the bone. And that's when they decided to rush us to Lucille Packard to do further
Wow.
treatment.
So does she have like a PET scan or like an
PET scan?
A PET scan?
So it was an MIBG, MRI, and a CT scan. They were able to do all those.
And so then they sent you to Lucille Packard that same night?
Yeah, the same night. So we didn't sleep. This was probably like around 10 o'clock was when we took her. And then we got the results like probably like at 2 a.m. And then from there we went straight to Lucille Packard. So we were on no sleep, exhausted, insomnia, just thinking all these things. My mind was just pondering, like thinking all these things.
Did they give you a prognosis?
At the time, yes. They gave us the wrong cancer. It was lymphoma cancer.
Interesting.
But they didn't do the DNA testing so Lucille Packard does a separate set of testing at Good Samaritan. They didn't do that, I guess, DNA testing. They just went off of the scans. So then that's when they sent us to Lucille Packard because they don't specialize in those cancers at Good Samaritan. So they sent us to a specialist over there for kids cancer.
And then how long after that did she get her actual accurate diagnosis?
It took a whole month.
Wow.
So we were in the hospital for a full month. Honestly, that month, I can remember bits and parts, but it's just like I can't reconcile a lot from because we were going through a roller coaster of emotions that month.
Right.
Yeah, and she was still like getting sedated. Wasn't as active as a 4-year-old should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I was like tired. I wouldn't move, like I wouldn't even talk. I would just mostly like sleep all day.
Were you scared to be in the hospital?
Yeah, I was. I was very nervous and scared.
How was the care? How were the nurses and like
in the beginning it was hectic. It wasn't as interacted with the children. I think they like in kids' language. So we had to step up and be like, hey, she doesn't know what you guys are doing, so you guys need to explain every single thing. And every parent's different. Some parents like to be very conservative, and but I feel like it's not fair for my daughter because she's not going to fully understand what is going on, and trying to sugarcoat it is not going to make it better.
Right. Yeah. Right. I think that should be a practice, like in hospitals, like when especially something like that, it's important to talk to the parents and like, how do you want to approach this? So that we can accommodate, change
Agree.
our care accordingly.
Yeah.
I've just found that I've encountered that same situation. And I know I've shared with you that my brother was diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
He was 12 or 11, I believe. But, I remember my parents going through that.
Yeah.
They had some issues with his care.
And that was the thing. The good thing is that we were very vocal about it. And I told her to make sure like you're vocal as well, because your voice matters way more than So then, that same hospital got better though. Now they have a whole department it's called Child Life, which will be by their side and explain every detail on what's going on. And it's improved 100% more now.
Now, did you guys have any part in that, you think? Did you have any complaints or any issues? Do they know Crystal over there?
They probably do. I speak my mind. I think when it comes to your daughter or your kid, you have to be an advocate for them, because if not, then you're going to end up with a whole bunch of other problems throughout that diagnosis or whatever it is. And speak your mind, because we're all learning. And I think that was the beauty of Lucille Packard. A lot of them were very willing to work with us and also hear us out, because our options might be something that they weren't considering for a treatment plan.
Okay, so you're in the hospital like a month or so, and then what was the course of action from there?
So we were in and out of the hospital. It was 2-year treatment plan. She did everything. So she did radiation, stem cell transplant, more radiation, and then the immunotherapy.
Yeah.
So it's all together about 2 years of treatment, and it was hard. I would say mentally, it was like a roller coaster of emotion. You go through a lot. You go through being angry, frustrated, and then you have to find your way to, okay, I have to live life normally, because I can't let all these emotions take the best of me.
So first of all, what's the name of the cancer? It's
neuroblastoma. Yeah.
So it's not the lymphoma, it's the neuroblastoma, what is that exactly? Like,
so the neuroblastoma is your nervous system. So what happened was that, we all have cancer cells in our body. And then, so the nervous system, there's a certain cell that didn't mutate correctly. So that creates tumors. So from there, someone probably could explain it correctly, but this is kind of like a shortcut of it. So it didn't mutate correctly. So then it creates this cancer cell, and then it starts lingering on to like multiplying into more, but it's not a spread. What is it called? Like, I can't explain. It's not a
metastasized.
Yeah.
Right.
So it stayed there, but then it did spread all out through her body, but it didn't hit her bone marrow, which makes a difference on certain cancers.
Right.
So until this day, it has not hit her bone marrow. So I think that's so basically neuroblastoma is the cancer of the nervous system.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so your spinal fluid, everything that has to do with, you get that feeling when you get scared, your adrenal glands that help filter, the adrenal glands that help filter like when you get scared, excited, stress, anxiety. Those are the nervous cells that neuroblastoma associates with.
Interesting. So she did have like tumors throughout her body.
Yes.
So they did a course of like chemotherapy as well.
Yes.
To shrink the tumors.
Yeah.
And how was that?
She responded really good with the chemo. We did, so the first month she did, the first 2 months she did chemo, because they couldn't do surgery until it shrinked, because it was entwined with her kidney. Mm-hmm. So that was the goal of minimizing the tumor. She did minimize it after 2 chemos. And then from there, she felt good. That's when you got into, like, she was super active. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. It went from not walking to all of a sudden full of joy, dancing, recuperated. Like, I was starting to see my 4-year-old again, which is like the best feeling in the world.
How long did that take from diagnosis to when you saw that revival?
I want to say 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you know what? She had probably been feeling sick for so long.
And didn't know how to explain
and didn't even know what baseline of feeling good was.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you remember when you started to feel a little bit better?
Yeah, I remember, like, I would tell my mom, can you play some music? And I started dancing, and I'll tell my mom to, like, record me and all. And I would, like, play, because my dad started bringing down, like, my dolls, my doll houses, and, like, a lot of my family members have been, like bringing stuff, food, clothes, like coloring books, and I started getting like really much more active, and I like was feeling more better. And now, when we were in the hospital, we would start like our routine, like brush our teeth, fold our clothes, get ready, like even just like make my bed in the hospital.
Good. Everybody needs a good routine. It's good for the mental state to have a good routine. So I love that you kind of like, you did that. So that's awesome. How was the treatment though? Was it rough?
It was rough.
Yeah.
I would say the most roughest part was being away from family, because it was just obviously us and Zenaida, but she had her sister, and it did emotionally like miss her little sister.
So tell me the age difference there. So when she was diagnosed, when Zenaida was diagnosed, you already had another little one at home?
Yeah. When the day of diagnosis, she was 8 months. So she was probably about like 10 or 11 months after.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
when we got
So
used
you
to
had an infant at home.
Yeah.
How did you navigate that?
It was hard. I had a really, really bad separation anxiety.
Yeah.
It was hard because I felt like I was missing out a lot of milestones. But I know like I couldn't have that mom guilt.
Right.
Because I was also taking care of my daughter at the hospital. But it was hard. And I think the way I am now with the kids because of my separation anxiety with the kids.
Right.
I want to spend every single moment with them. And, because during that time, we lost a lot of times where I wasn't able to spend time with Nelly. And it was hard. It was really tough, but I'm so grateful that we live close by family. And I think that's what helped survived our relationship, and being able to see my daughter. Like my in-laws would come to bring my daughter to the hospital. That way we have that family unity of being together and feeling somewhat of being like at home.
Right.
And so like I remember my mother-in-law would drop off my daughter for the day, and that's where I had to ask the nurses and be like, hey, this is not fair. Like I think I have to be there for my daughters as well, because they only had like a visitation rule where only 2 people could be there, and you have to alternate. And I said, my daughter is barely 8 months. Like, is there any way you guys can accept this of letting her stay for the day? And they wouldn't allow her to stay the night. But between there, that's when we realized like it was really a big mental toll for me, because, after having a baby, you go through all these whirlwind of hormones and emotional roller coaster. So we decided to switch off. So my husband and I would switch off between going back and forth to the house. He'll stay with Zenaida one day or a couple of days, and I'll be with my daughter. Or it would be, if it was something serious, like when Zenaida was having surgery, or if we needed help, we both needed to be there, then my daughter would be with my in-laws. But we practically lived with them. And so it's so much easier to do that process.
Right. Wow. I can't imagine. Like, that is an incredible situation that you had to overcome. I'm sure looking back, it makes it like, how did I even get through that?
As any mom would, I think I asked for help, and my in-laws were definitely there for me. Because I was scared to ask, like, hey, by the way, can you guys watch my daughter? But I needed it for my mental state, and also for my daughter. It wasn't fair for Yaneli and for Zenaida. So we had to find a way of coming together as a family.
I think that's so important. Is just, it's okay to ask for help. Yeah. Like, sometimes we just need some help, and sometimes we forget to ask, or we think that they'll just know that we need help. Yeah. And sometimes you have to just speak up.
Yeah, I know. And then kind of jumping off subject a little bit, but with your podcast that I was listening to your sister-in-law and how you guys were there with the twins. So that was like, oh my God, you guys are so amazing. Yeah. It's true though. It's like you need to ask for help, and for me it was pride, because I felt like I'm super mom, I could do this, but at the same time, hell no, I couldn't. Exactly. I need a tribe behind me, and my in-laws were my mom, and them were my tribe.
And I think that's such a good message for people who listen, because oftentimes we do, especially a lot of times as moms, we feel like we're the rock trying to hold everything together. But even for dads, it doesn't matter. But we perceive that we're supposed to be the rock. Yeah. So then we feel like we don't want to let anyone know that maybe we're not as solid as we look. True. And so we don't ask.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly, being strong is asking.
Yeah. It's true. So true. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So how long was that? I know that, Zenaida's journey continues, and we're going to get into that for sure. So after the 3 months, she started to feel better. Then what was her protocol after that?
So then after that, we were in and out. She did the chemo, and then she did the stem cell transplant. The stem cell transplant was, I think, the hardest for everyone, because that's when she felt really sick. So the stem cell transplants, basically, they give her a high dose chemo, and you're on zero. Like she got really, really sick. That's where it really scared like the heebie-jeebies out of us, because she was bleeding out of her nose, her eyes, her ears. She had mucositis, which is like ulcers in your stomach. And we thought, we were like, she's never going to recuperate from the stem cell transplant, because when you get the stem cell transplant, you go on zero. And it took over, I want to say like 50 days for her to get one blood count.
So it like wipes your immune system out.
Yes.
So you go to like no immunity, basically.
Exactly. And so with the stem cell transplant, they harvested her own good stem cells, and they replant them into the bone marrow to harvest. So, and it wasn't working. So that's why it took so long for her to finally get one.
Did they prepare you for that?
No, mentally, no. We were going into this, like, I don't remember anybody talking to us. Like, they went over the treatment plan of like the side effects, what to look for. But being over 50 days in the hospital was like intense. Mm-hmm. And that's when she was like, the first couple of weeks was like, okay, we're getting used to it. And then after the second week, because she was like, I'm not feeling this. The third week was getting worse, and she was sleeping more. And I think her sleeping more, that's when she started to get kind of depressed. Mm-hmm. She didn't know, because she was only like 4 or 5 years old. So she didn't know what depressed meant. But I could see it, because she wasn't my little girl, like playing with Barbies.
The dancing and stuff was like the music.
Pause. Yeah. And so, and she was feeling really, really sick. So then that's when Dad brought everything from home. And then we brought all the stuff that she was into, which was frozen, different things to keep her busy and kind of entertain. It was hard. And I'm like, what can I do to get her back up to life? Like, I feel like this is taking a toll on her. Mm-hmm. And so sister wasn't able to go into the room. So we asked if sister could come visit us more often. So in the beginning, when you're going to the room, you have to wash your hands periodically. And they had to do like a full body wash on her.
Oh my goodness.
Because she doesn't have any immune system. So anything could get her really sick. But she loved it. And there's videos of them like laughing, just playing simple games of hide and seek. And I think that helped a lot get through it. And that's when the music came in. She was a dancing queen. And then from there on out, she was starting to pick up counts. And it was just starting to like, this is really working. Like the fact that the little things of bringing home to the room or music, the frequencies of different things is like bringing her back to life.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know it must have been so much anxiety, like every time you're about to get the result, and you're just like hoping, hanging on to any little shred of improvement.
Yeah, a lot of anxiety. I remember just like in frustration.
Yeah,
I remember feeling frustrated, like, what can I do I felt if everything felt impossible, like nothing was working, until finally we were like, let's change things up a little bit. Yeah.
So then what was next after that?
So then after that stem cell, she was doing immunotherapy, which she did really good. She was used to the chemo. She didn't have any side effects with immunotherapy, and everything was going good. And then from there, when we did the maintenance, she was finally in remission. Mm-hmm. I remember when she was in remission, it was the best feeling in the world. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it felt for you, but it was just like, how did it feel like coming home and finally?
I feel like I was like free, like I was away, from like all the, like all poking, all the more like desperation.
Yeah.
I like felt free, like.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the best feeling. Just you get this sense of breeze, just feeling that breeze in your face and just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, we're outside. Like now we get to be a family. We have a normal routine.
Yeah. So that's when she got to go home.
Yeah, she got to go home. She was in remission. And so finally we were not really done with the hospital, but she was more on surveillance. And so they would do the blood exams to check where she was at and how to recover. Because now we're going into the next phase of recuperating.
Right.
And so it was better, though, way better than being in the hospital. And then from there, she's on surveillance every 3 months. And then in between, it's like every week she had blood work. So we were technically not done with seeing the doctors. But it didn't matter. The fact that she was home and in remission was like awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how was that whole process? Like what happened after that? Because I mean, we know that she's still in her journey now.
Yeah. So after that, now we're facing reality.
Yeah.
So going into school, we had to enroll her in school. And, you know, as a mom, it's the biggest fear of like, you know, your daughter's bald and going into school or the kid's going to pick on her. But luckily enough, everything ended up working out to the best. And she ended up meeting the best of friends there at school. We continued life. Zenaida was doing really good. But I felt like I was kind of I was getting more separation anxiety because now she's continuing on to her life and I was just worrisome. And I feel like my anxiety started to kick in even more than it was in the hospital because I was scared that if the cancer came back, and I kept thinking that way and worried like any little thing that she got sick. There was been a couple times where we had to scare too, or she'll get really sick. So because she was a post-cancer patient, we had to take her to the emergency all the way in the Palo Alto just to make sure it wasn't the cancer because I was traumatized from the first incident when she got sick all the time.
Mm-hmm. Did you find that you were always watching her, like any little move?
A little too
and you're
much.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. That's got to be a whole different thing that you have to now manage. Like, is it you overreacting or is that my intuition or you don't know what it is? How did you get past that? And are you?
I got past that because she it made it noticeable for me. And I didn't realize it as a mom because, you know, as a mom, are you okay? Did you drink your water? Did you take your medicine? Always on her, constantly on like making sure she did what she was supposed to do. And then like if she felt sick, oh my God, like I would freak out, like get the temperature, let's call the doctor. I was already overreacting until she realized like, Mom, stop. Like I don't like when you ask me, how do I feel 10 million times a day? And that's when I like stood back and I was just like, whoa. And she was pretty young. She was, I want to say like 6 or 7. And so that's when I realized like I'm definitely overstepping her boundaries and I want to respect the fact that, you know, she's been through a lot. How do I not be overreactive on the situation? Because she already matured, unfortunately, because of that whole process. So she's already aware. She's like, if I didn't feel good, I would tell you and Papi. She's like, there's no, like, I feel like you're way over hovering me, telling me if I'm okay or not. And that's hard. Like, it is. But I was like, I had to accept it. Yeah. And that's when I realized like, okay.
And you have to trust her. That she is. But then as a mom, to me, this is what I would think, but she's not going to tell me if she's feeling sick because then she's going to know I'm going to freak out. So, you know, that it never ends.
No, it doesn't.
It never ends.
Yeah. So I think that's what, and then my husband too was kind of guiding me. Like, he's like, I know you're traumatized from the first time. He said, but leave it in God's hands. And I want you to let that pass of you being so scared, let it go. And I'm like, I can't. It took me a long time.
Right.
And then till finally my husband was just like, yeah, he's like, you have to let it go because if you're going to keep acting that way, it's not going to get better for the future. And he's like, you need to focus on just what's present right now.
Yeah. When I heard him on Mauricio's podcast, that resonated with me big time. He said, the past is in the past. You can't change it. Yeah. You know, you gotta live in the present and look to the future, but you can't live in the past and you can't, make choices based on that. And I loved that actually. Yeah. What do you think? Has mom helped? Has she been like giving respecting your boundaries since you set your boundaries?
Yeah. So this day still reminds me to take my medicine. So
Well, I mean, that's what mom's got to do. We got to do that. But do you feel that you have a good idea of when you're feeling good and when you're feeling a little off?
yeah, like whenever like I'm feeling off or like way off, I'll like tell my mom immediately, and she was like my lifesaver, because like when I was like down or like wasn't feeling good, she would be right there. When I tell her something, she's right there. She's by my side always.
That's a mom for you. That's a mom for you. I love that. And I love that, you know, if you are honest about how you're feeling, then your mom will trust, you know, she'll know, like, when Zenaida doesn't feel good, I know she'll tell me. So then that'll help your mom. She'll build that trust.
Yeah. And it's a learning process, I think, as for any woman, because it's hard raising kids. And so I think that's always in your mind. But learning to just step back a little bit, like, okay, trust our kids.
I mean, to be honest with you, even for me as a child, experiencing that with my brother having cancer, I felt that I had a little bit of that in me with my kids, like always like looking at them with the side eye, or, you know, knowing like, well, my brother at this age, this is what happened. And so, you know, it's something that's within you. It's like an anxiety that's there. Yeah. You know, you can't, you know, there's nothing you could do about that. But so tell me about how, you know, what now? Because I know eventually she was cancer free for a while, and then what happened after that?
So she was
or in remission, right?
Yeah, she was in remission, and then everything was good. We went back to like the kids were growing up. I ended up getting pregnant with my third one, and during that time, that's when we got into fitness. We got into fitness after I got my son. We were doing really well, and I was like realizing, wow, why didn't I do this way before when I was young? I wasn't really into fitness like I was at that time. And we were going to the gym like every single day. I would bring them to the 24-hour. They would go to the daycare that they had there.
Yep. Kids club.
Kids club. Yes. They have so many memories there.
So do mine.
But it was fun. And it was a good feeling. It changed my mood because during that time, you know, I'm still healing from, you know, being in a relationship, you know, being with my husband, having kids, and going through into that whole, you know, postpartum and then a separation anxiety with the kids. And so I never took time for myself to take care of myself.
Right.
So I felt finally I have a time to breathe and take good care of myself.
And this is when you're pregnant with the third?
With my third one.
So how old is Zenaida when you're pregnant with the third?
You were...
I say like about 8.
Think about 8. They're 7 years apart.
So, and how old is the other daughter?
She's 3 years apart from Zenaida.
Okay,
so they're all 3 years apart.
Okay.
But between Zenaida and my youngest son, they're 7 years apart.
So at the time that you got pregnant with him, so she was 8. The other one was what, 5?
Yes.
And that's when you got into fitness, when you got pregnant?
So it was a little bit before when I was pregnant. And when I found out I was pregnant, I continued to work out.
Oh, good.
Because I never worked out with my other two.
Yeah.
I never was into fitness like that. It was just kind of get up, get ready, go, like, you know. And then, so when I got introduced to fitness, my husband did it. So he would do it all the time. And I'm not going to lie, I got jealous because I felt like he wasn't helping me around the house.
So he would go work out.
I was jealous.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I didn't understand it at the time. And so when he would go work, he would wake up early, like really early, and go work out. And I didn't realize that was his time to himself. And
mental health.
Yep. And I didn't realize it. And he was like, come on, you should do it with me too. He would always invite me. And I never gave him the time of day because I felt like I had to wash the dishes. I had to clean the house. Was so busy with the kids. And I never took time for myself until finally I started going because I wasn't happy with myself physically and I didn't like the way I looked. So he was like, I can only tell you so much, but it's really up to you if you want to change your habits. It's really up to you. And that's where I was stubborn. I was full of myself. And the only way to make my problems better was if I wanted to change my habits, my lifestyle. And that's when I started picking it up. And of course, right when that happened, I ended up getting pregnant. So it was like,
Of course.
and it was an eye opener though, because I was like, I really want to work out throughout this pregnancy. So I did, and I kept to it. And then I fell off after she relapsed. So I got pregnant. My son was born. He was about 6 months until finally she got relapsed.
So are you kidding me? So you have now a 6-month infant, and now you're in the throes of a relapse.
Yes.
So it's almost like history repeating itself, like when you had.
Exactly. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, we got this. And I'm going into this with a positive mindset, because I already learned from thinking negative, it's not going to get us anywhere. So my husband's like, okay, we accepted what is happening. We know what to do. At the time, we end up leaving our house and moving in with my in-laws, because now we're going into a relapse and we already know that we're going to need that help. So we went back with my in-laws, and we had the help of my in-laws raising the kids. You know, these are now older.
Right.
She already knows the system of how it works of when we're in and out of the hospital. My son's still young. I don't think he really remembers.
With the relapse, what was it? One of those routine checks that they said, hey, you know what, the numbers are.
Yeah, so we did the surveillance scans, and it came back it came back in the brain area. So the surveillance is the one that showed us that her cancer relapsed, but she didn't show any symptoms. Everything was normal. Like she felt good. No signs of anything, no fevers, no anything.
Wow.
So we got it at the right time. Yeah.
Before she was even showing signs. Good thing they were doing that, the
surveillance. Yeah. So it's very important, like, to make sure you're following up on your surveillance. And so we did, and we were very prompt. Like, we made sure nothing, we didn't reschedule any appointments around those times, because that was more priority of making sure she was getting her scans in. So that happened. We moved back with my in-laws, and now this is like a different set of mind
challenges.
Shift.
As being married and the 3 kids now, and the treatments, like, how was that?
So the treatments were still similar to Zenaida's first one, except we changed one of the chemo. Actually, no, we continued the immunotherapy, because we felt very strong about the immunotherapy, but it's basically increasing your immune system. And it's like half mouse cell and half human cell. So 25% it was mouse cell, and 75% of it was human cells. So what it does is that it attaches onto if there's any T cell cancers, it'll attach to it, and your body signifies that there's something foreign in it. So your immune system attacks it.
Oh, wow.
Because of the mouse cell. That's the foreign cell that's your body will, I guess, signal that it's something foreign in your body, and your own immune system will attack it. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yeah.
And so we went with that. We repeated the routines, and then they didn't really have a treatment for the
brain
skull area. So it wasn't inside.
It was in the skull.
It was in the skull.
Interesting.
So we were scared. The doctors were scared that it had, because it was already bleeding. So when she had it in the skull, it was already erupted. So that they were scared that the blood from that erupted tumor got into the spinal fluid. So they said, we want to treat it immediately, because we're scared that if the blood of the cancer's DNA gets into the spinal fluid, it's going to spread to her bone marrow. And we were scared. So immediately we decided to go through with removing it, because they did shrink it. So we were back to shrinking the chemo, and then they removed it, had surgery. They decided to put it on Maya. We decided to do a clinical trial. So the clinical trial was basically getting a radioactive injection to the neuro area of the brain. And they just had to cut off a little bit because where she had the tumor, they had to cut a little bit of the skull off because it was attaching to the bone. So we took precautions, and we felt okay. We asked Zenaida, obviously, like, are you okay with this? And she's like, yeah, it was only going to be 5 minutes for the injection, but they had to in place. It's called Omaya, which is like a little balloon to get the spinal fluid. So instead of doing the injection and the spinal fluid in the back, they could do it directly to the area where it's going to get treated. That we went to LA, and that was we're
basically like living in LA now. Like it was like we were there for like a month.
Yeah, we were there for like about 2 months in LA. We lived in LA. So then, but this is when the pandemic happened. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because now she was already enrolled school. My other daughter was not in school yet, and neither my son. So it was a little bit easier. And it was, no, Yaneli was in school. She was in kindergarten. So everything was virtual. So we were able to shift over to LA easily because everything was online.
Yeah.
And I will work remotely. So I'm still working in this process because I learned to like take days off and just obviously work remotely. We moved to LA for a little bit to do the clinical trial. And then it was pretty good. We came into, we're still working out. That's working out. My routine, our routine was still the same. Working out, being together as families, spending time with each other, trying to eat really healthy. What else? And it was
just going out.
Yeah. I think her mindset didn't shift the second time around. She was so positive.
And that helped you guys probably.
Yeah, definitely. And she was into music. We were just like everywhere in her room. She would have her speaker ready.
You still like music a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
Right now is Bad Bunny.
Oh, Bad Bunny. Speaking of Bad Bunny, I want to talk about Bad Bunny. I heard you had a little viral moment on Instagram with Bad Bunny. Tell me how that came about.
It was amazing. Like, it was the best part of my life. Because when we went to his concert, he noticed my sign. It was the very first concert. When he noticed my sign, he invited us back. Which was like, I was like, what?
What did you have on the sign?
I forgot what it said.
It was in Spanish. It said, "Con tu música cáncer me supere." It means like, because of your music, it helped me beat it.
Oh, I love that. I want that.
Yeah,
I want that because I want to put it up on the show. So you did that. So you had the sign up, and he saw your sign. Did you have good tickets? How did he see your sign?
Yeah, we had really good tickets.
Yeah.
So someone donated actually one of the tickets for Zenaida because we bought ours, or me and my husband already bought ours. And then she's like, I want to go because she was really into it.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't know. And she's like, I want to go. So then I was like, well, let me see if I could get you a ticket. There was no tickets because he was pretty popular. Yeah. And so someone donated a ticket to her. They're like, here, Crystal, here is a ticket for Zenaida. I want her to enjoy herself. And this was before her thyroid removal.
I was just about to get my thyroid taken, so I was like, let's go. I'm ready to
scream my heart out.
Just like scream and everything, just sing along. And yeah, it was pretty good.
So you had the sign, and then what went viral? Because that's what.
So the photographer, so she had the sign up. We were in the back a little bit of the front stage, and the photographer, Eric, shout out to Eric. He's the one that captured this picture of her holding up the sign on top of my husband, Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
And so from there, he's like, hey, we would love to invite you guys back for day 2. So we're like, what? So Nida was so excited. You could see that everything lit up at the concert. She was just having such an amazing time. It's well deserved and just an escape from reality. It was really nice.
Yeah. So you went back?
Yeah.
And what happened when you went back?
So when we went back, I still had my sign. Wait, no. It was a different sign.
Oh, you did a different sign.
It was like...
I think you said thank you to Benito or something like that.
Thank you for like bringing me back or something. And when it ended, he actually went down to come say hi to me. And he gave me some like merch, and then he gave me his water bottle. But then after my brother drank it, I'm like, so I was pretty mad at him.
Her souvenir.
Oh no, Bad Bunny's special water? He drinks. How dare he?
It was cute because she's like so excited she got his water bottle. She's like, Bad Bunny drank out of it. I'm gonna save this for the rest. And she had it in her little altar.
And then your brother drank it? Oh man. You gotta love little brothers, huh?
It was fun.
I could tell you're still upset about that.
I know. We need to tell Benito to give you another water.
I know. Maybe that means you need to go back to Bad Bunny.
And that's another thing. When we went to another concert in Oakland, we brought another poster back saying if he remembered me. And then there's another one where my tias went to Coachella, and they were right there, like at Bad Bunny. And they had my bracelets, so they gave them to Benito. And he put it in his pocket and he grabbed it.
Wow, that's so cool. Now, speaking of your bracelets, why don't you tell me about your business that you've started? Because you have a business making. I have some. Let me show them up here to the camera. I got some beautiful bracelets here, Boss Babe and Candidly with Coffee, super cute. So tell me about this business.
So about my business is when I first started, I started making rainbow loom. Like with the rubber bands and the beads. And people, like the nurses, because I started it like kind of in the hospital. So then all of us, the nurses, like started asking like requests if they can make them some. So I started making a lot, and it was quick, and it was easy too. So, and then after like a couple months, like a month or two, I asked my mom if I could do business. But she was all like, are you sure it's going to be like kind of like
a lot
and like, I don't know, like more like
a business.
Yeah.
The
But
business.
good for you. How did you even know how did you even know about business? Where did you learn about business?
When my mom, like, when she started her own business for visual gains, I'm like, what if I could do one?
So she learned from mom, huh?
And then until like my dad started, so like, okay, I want to do a business.
Yeah.
And so what's the name of your business?
Z Jewelry Box.
And so you're doing like custom jewelry and things like that. So tell me a little bit more about that. I heard something about putting together some packages for other people going through chemo.
Yeah, so we're gonna do chemo packages, which is like stuff for like going through chemo, stuff to distract them, give them supportive.
So to cheer them up, other little kids going through chemo.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. She was like, let's start doing, because we love giving also to Lucille Packer because they've been there a lot for us. And so they would always give her like cool things from the foundation.
Like
and
they would give me like stress balls, Lego, slime, like even like you even bring like ingredients to make slime. Like whenever they were like there for me whenever I wanted to have them there.
And she's like, how about, and then she loved, with chemo, your taste buds taste differently also. So she was like, what if I give him the stuff I like too? I'm going to go for it, babe, because you know what it was like to be an actual patient. So this would be cool stuff to give them, and that way they can enjoy it. And
So are you still doing your business?
Yeah.
Yeah, making bracelets. You have a website. I'm going to make sure and put that website up on the screen. Do you like doing that?
Yeah, it keeps me busy and like happy and like more active.
Good for you. That's amazing. So what's going on with her treatment now? And
so right now, this is the 4th relapse, I think it was. So she's doing good. Like, if you look at her, she doesn't even look like she has cancer. Her mindset's very strong. She's finishing radiation. She already finished radiation, so now we're monitoring it again.
how often is that?
We just did our scans actually last week, and we get the results actually this Thursday. So we'll know. I'm praying that it doesn't spread, nothing popped up, because if nothing spread, then we don't have to do chemo. We just keep it on surveillance.
That would be really nice, because the chemo is rough.
Yeah.
Chemo is rough. Now, how do you manage the anxiety of waiting for results?
Oh, scan anxiety. That's what we call them. Actually, now I came to accept it. Like, once we get the results, like I was talking about how in the beginning where we just have to let that go. And it's hard. It's very, very hard. And it's all mindset. I just leave it in, in God's hands and just, accept like whatever happens, and whatever results we get, we'll be okay. There'll be an action plan once we get there, focus on the present. So now with scan anxiety, it's just kind of like a routine where we just go and get it done with and accept it and let it go and just still enjoy the rest of the day.
And also work with it too, like accept it and like work with it.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Are you able to like not have anxiety about?
No, just more like accept it. Like I don't really like get anxiety or anything. I'm not nervous or scared. Like nothing's gonna happen. Like I already know it. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna go okay.
Yeah, regardless of the outcome or whatever results, we're still gonna be us. We're still gonna have faith. We're still gonna continue to live life. And I think everything will be okay as long as we're together as a family. All will be good. Yeah.
Yeah, you have an incredible, strong. I mean, you're incredibly strong. I feel it and hear it in your voice. And you're just such I'm sure that her outlook and positive outlook helps you guys a lot.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Because you guys still do. I see you have fun as a family and vacations and things like that's a huge lesson for people. And what I love about your story is, I mean, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, I mean, there's been multiple relapses, lots of treatments, lots of bad news in there.
Yeah.
But you've managed to still live.
You have to. Yeah. Because it's easily to get lost in life. And I think that's the beauty of life is there's ways of getting lost, but the fact that you're able to find outlets or ways around and adapting to change is what will help bring, because it's only up to us if we want to make a happy life. A happy life is not going to come to us. We have to make it.
Yeah.
So times like if there's anything wrong with my marriage, there's ways of finding date nights and finding time for ourselves, because we could get so busy into this life always on the go, but if we don't make time for ourselves, then nothing's going to execute to a good outcome. So you have to really make time for yourself, for your family. It's just making those little times in your life.
Yeah. Now, how are the other kids?
They're so now that we're in this stage of her cancer, I've been really, really filling in what they want to do, because now they're at the age where they're older and they understand more. They're doing really good. So now, again, at least my more sensitive one, and my son Jesus, he's very gets frustrated easily. So now I'm learning to adapt to those two personalities, and each kid's different. And I'm just learning to now, as a mom, I felt like I've lost a lot from when we were in the hospital. So now we're just fully together as a family and making sure we're there for all the soccer games, all their needs, which is it's a juggle, but they're doing really good. And I think now when they see her at the hospital, they fully understand okay, this is.
Yeah. So do they understand that she has these challenges and.
Yeah. They'll even ask her, are you okay? How do you feel? Like when she's sick, when she'll stay home from school, they'll come into her room and ask her, how are you, Zenaida? How do you feel? And they'll just come check on her, which is really cute and really be there for her. And especially her sister. Her sister really is her best friend. And
oh, that's cute. I know that when I'm gonna get emotional. When my brother was sick, he was more concerned about whether what I knew. Like he would always when he would get bad news, he would tell my parents, "Don't tell Janine." Like he wouldn't want them to tell me. So like it was such an interesting dynamic. You guys are all in this together, because even now, he's in his 50s. He's an old man now, but we went through a lot of the same things, as a family, and you have to continue to live And that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, because I love what you guys have done. And I know it's not easy.
Yeah.
And you're not, here to say like, oh yeah, it's easy, just live and be positive. But it's a battle, but you fight that battle every day.
Single day. Yeah, you have to fight every single day. I could victimize myself, but for what? That victimizing is not gonna it's not gonna result in anything good. So I have to be vulnerable, take action, and make sure each and every day I execute it with, okay, it's gonna be a better day, and one day at a time. That's what I always say. One day at a time. It's we're so easy just to be like, okay, in the future, or hey, this, or like, let's plan. But it's like one day at a time.
I love that. And like today's a great day, right? Yes. You're here with your daughter. You guys look happy, in a good mood. Like today is a good day.
Amen.
And I think that more people need to change their mindset like that and think about that.
Agree.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for
being here.
Thank you.
I loved having you on the show. I want to make sure I get that sign. I want to see a picture of that viral moment, because I want to put it up on the show. But thank you so much, and keep me updated on how things are going. And I'm excited about your bracelets, and we're going to get that link out there so that the listeners can support. So hopefully you're ready to do business, because I have a feeling we have some orders coming your way. All right, you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.